These abductions have all just happened, with one exception. These mothers are all praying that someone will recognize their child, hear their plea, and help bring their babies back home. Now, if you happen to think that these stories are the exception to the rule, you should know that there are over 350,000 children out there right now who have been abducted by a parent. 350,000, and we checked that number. This is Dawn. I said this has just happened. This is 4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago this morning.
Dawn's
That was the last time I saw her.
Ex-husband came to pick up their 5-year-old daughter, Anjanette,
Yes.
for what was supposed to be a weekend visitation with her.
Yes.
So Dawn kissed the little girl goodbye and planned to pick her up the next day. That was not to be. That morning, her ex-husband kidnapped Anjanette and vanished without a trace. Dawn hasn't seen her daughter since. I know this is extremely difficult. It would be for me. Tell me about your relationship with the child's father.
Actually, I met him on spring break. It was kind of a whirlwind. He's a very charismatic man, can make you believe a lot of things.
And you married him, and he became violent, and you decided to get the divorce.
Yes.
Now, after you got divorced, did you have any suspicion? You had a child with him.
Yes.
Child was how old when you got divorced?
She was 2. Just after she turned 2, we separated.
Okay. Did you have any suspicion that he might try to do something to hurt you or to get the child?
He had always said that he would take her and disappear and go back to Arizona.
He did say that.
He had said that right from the start, that he would do it. He didn't have the means to at first, so I wasn't too worried about it. Then he had a steady job, so I knew as long as he was working, the chances were fairly slim.
But this is a man who, after you're divorcing him or while you're divorcing him, is telling you, I'm going to kidnap your child.
Yes.
Okay. Why would you let the child see the father if he's telling you this?
Because the court system supports the right of a father to know who their children are, and it doesn't matter what I do, I would have to have proved physical or sexual abuse against him to have gotten him to have no rights.
Did you ever try to go to the court and say, this man is threatening to take my child?
I told him that right from the beginning.
The court said he still has rights to visit the child.
He still has a right. He hasn't done anything illegal. Therefore,
so we
they
can do nothing to him. You have to give the child to your husband?
That's right.
On every weekend?
He saw her every other weekend and some days in between.
Did you think he'd do it?
I wasn't too concerned about it right away. And then the last few months, Jeanette would come home and say, does your car know how to get to New York? And she would ask if my car knew how to get to Arizona. And, I always assured her that, yes, I knew how to get there and things like that. But these were not things coming from her. They were coming from him to scare me.
What is this thing about Arizona?
That's where I met him, and that's where he lived for 10, 15 years.
Where do you live now?
I live in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. So you are getting funny feelings from your daughter.
Yeah.
Did you take any precautions?
I tried to let the guardian ad litem know what she was saying. At court. I let the judge know when we went in, because we were in and out of court constantly with visitation changes, and he didn't believe he was getting to see her, and I didn't believe that it was okay as much as he wanted to see her. It was a very hard thing going back and forth into court.
Now, Anjanette is how old?
She turned 5 the week after he took her.
You did all kinds of things. I know you talked to Anjanette and said what? If anybody ever tries to pack your bags.
Actually, we had talked about that a month or so, I suppose, before this happened. And I told her, if Daddy puts your bags in the car and starts to drive, as soon as you get to a phone, you call the police, you call the operator and tell them what's going on. You get a hold of someone.
Did you teach her to call the police?
Yes. She can dial. We played 911 in the car while we drive different places.
Did you teach her to scream, police, police?
Yeah.
All the things you had to do, but the law would not help you.
But why should a 4-year-old have to know these things?
Of course not. A child should not have to know these things. Now, you even hired a private detective.
Anjanette came home the week before this happened after being with her dad. She put her hands on her hips and she looked at Grandma and said, "Next time it's a daddy day, he's taking me away. He says I'm never going to see you again."
Boy, you can't ask for any more hint than that.
And they wouldn't do anything about it.
The child said that, and the court and the ad litem and all those people would do nothing about it.
Yep.
Except say to you, hand her over.
Except say to me that if he takes her, then you can charge him. If you don't let him have her for the weekend, he can charge you with interference with custody.
So if you had said, my child has told me she's going to be stolen, they would say, if you don't turn her over, you're charged.
I would have been in contempt.
Tell me how you found out she was kidnapped.
I had hired a private detective to follow them for the entire weekend, 24 hours a day, surveillance from Friday through Monday.
Now that's interesting. You knew so much that you said put a private detective on it.
The police wouldn't do anything about it. I had to have someone watching her so that I knew where she was. And he, the private detective that I followed, following them, actually lost them 3 times over that weekend. During the second time, he bought a car. And of course, then the investigator did not know about the car.
So the investigator didn't know what car he's driving. What efforts are being made to find your daughter? This has been 4 weeks. What have you been doing? Well, first of all, did you go to the court and say, hey guys, I told you so?
I sent the judge a flyer with my daughter's picture on it, yes. I had a few relatives volunteer to deliver that personally to him. But,
yeah, let's not do that.
We filed the missing persons report. We went through the legal aspects of having, luckily the police charged him with a felony of interference with custody so that it is a police matter, not a civil matter. So luckily there's a warrant out for his arrest. I work in the school district, and they took flyers home. Each one of the kids took flyers and a note home and sent them to all their relatives. So we've got a fairly good poster chain.
Would he change her hair color?
He might. He likes her long hair. He yelled at me when I had bangs cut.
But he might cut it and he might dye the hair.
Yes.
A lot of people do that.
Yes.
Would he change her name?
He would have a hard time. He named her. That name came from him.
So Ann Jeanette is an unusual name.
Yes, it is.
Ann Jeanette. So if anyone hears that name, what's the hardest part of this?
Waking up in the morning and knowing she's not there. Going to bed at night, not being able to tuck her in anymore.
You're going to get her back. I'm sure you are.
I just want her to know that I love her and that I miss her. And I want her to come home, that he didn't have the right to take her away from me.
Not legally, not morally, not any other way.
I just want her back.
We'll be right back. I must tell you, we've done shows like this before, and knock on wood, we've been very successful, not 100%, but very successful in locating these children. This is a thing where I think together, you and I, together we can work these things out. We are talking with mothers who are living through a parent's worst nightmare. The children have been kidnapped, not by a stranger, but in these cases by their own fathers, not to say that mothers don't also kidnap. This is Abby. Now, Abby's child is 10 years old. Name is Sam, and he has been missing for 2 months. He went for his weekend visitation with his father, Steve. On that Monday morning, the father was supposed to have dropped Sam off at camp. Sam was nowhere to be found. Before we hear about that terrible day, Dawn had an idea this might happen. Did you have any idea this might happen? Not a clue.
Not a clue.
Out of the blue, nothing. Was he angry about anything?
He was angry that I wanted a divorce. He was angry because he kept losing jobs and getting fired. He blamed everything on all his failures. He blamed on me.
You were responsible for everything. Tell me about the day he was kidnapped.
After work, I went to the Y where Sam was to be dropped off after camp, and usually he would go and play basketball and wait for me till I got there. And so I went into the Y and went to the basketball court, and he wasn't there. I thought he might have gone swimming, so I went there to see if he was there, and he
Now,
wasn't.
how long have you been divorced?
We've been separated since March of '94 and divorced since May of '96.
So this father has taken this child
on a regular basis.
on a regular basis every
Yes,
weekend or every
every
other
other
weekend,
weekend.
and nothing has been done since '94, and suddenly pop out. No wonder you were surprised.
Yes.
When you realized the child wasn't there at the Y, what'd you do?
Well, they called the camp to make sure, to find out if he was there or not.
He never went to camp?
He never was dropped off. And then I called his apartment, and there was no answer. It was the answering machine. And so I called the police to go over there just to see if he was there, and there was no one there. And then I called my ex-husband's family, and they didn't know anything. And then
Are they covering up for him, or do they not know anything?
I don't know. I hope not, but
Why would he do it?
I'm not sure. I can only speculate that he wanted to get
Back at you.
back at me, or
Where would you think he'd go with the child?
I don't know. That's the frightening part. I don't know.
You
where-
have no idea. Did he have a job that he had to quit?
He left his job. He had only had the job for a short time. He left his job. He could be anywhere.
Anywhere in the United States, anywhere.
Anywhere.
Did he have a lot of money with him?
Yes. He cashed in all of my son's savings, all of his investments for college. And he took it all.
He had signature on your son's savings
He was
accounts?
custodian. It was supposed to be changed over to me, but he never did it.
So he has all the kids' college money?
Yes.
So he could go for a long time without working?
Yes, he could. Yes.
You have no idea where you think he is?
No idea.
And he would, your husband, ex-husband would not have to work?
Not for a while.
Now, Sam is 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever talk to him what would happen if he got kidnapped?
When we were first separated, I would talk to Sam about it, but I never wanted him to be afraid of his father, because in the beginning I thought something like that might happen, so I generalized that what he should do in case someone was to take him. And
But this is 2 months. Wouldn't Sam, at 10 years old, go to a phone and call you?
that's what's so frightening, that he hasn't called me. I don't know if he's all right. I don't know.
Okay,
he
I
would
know,
call me.
because a 10-year-old would get and would pick up a phone and
Yes.
call home.
Yes, he would, if he
Now-
was able to.
Would your husband do anything to harm this child?
To physically harm him, I don't know what he would do anymore. I didn't think that he would do this. He's already harmed him mentally and emotionally. If he would harm him physically, I don't know. I don't know what he would do.
We all have to teach children to learn to use the phone and know how to call. Are the police helpful?
Oh, the police have been wonderful. They've been doing everything they possibly can.
What are
And
you doing to try and get him back?
I've been working on the computer constantly.
You have
I
a
have a
website for him.
website just for Sam. I've been sending out mass emailings to as many people as I can reach across the country, because I want as many people as possible to know what he looks like so they can help him come home.
You came here to make a plea for him. Look into the camera and talk to your ex-husband or to your son or to anyone who would know them.
I want to tell Steve that to look into Sam's eyes and to see that the pain that's there, that he hasn't just taken Sam away from me, that he's taken him away from his whole life, from my family, from his friends, from his own family. His family is worried about him. They don't know where he is. They're worried about Sam, and to bring him home, that would be the best thing for Sam, if he would bring him home. This way Sam would still have a father, and it's what he's doing isn't right. He's just taken him. He's ripped him from his whole life.
Please stay with us.
At first, they were letting me talk to him.
Did this company return your child?
No, they did not.
Were you scammed?
Yes, I was scammed.
Out of how much money?
About $30,000.
We've been talking to mothers whose children have been kidnapped by their own fathers, and they're hiding from them, or they're on the run from the law. And we think the first two cases, we don't know, these people are in the United States. Go ahead.
All of your children, they know how much you love them, and as long as you keep the faith, everything will work out for the best.
I think so too,
yeah,
don't you?
I believe that.
Imagine how you'd feel if your child had been kidnapped and taken thousands of miles away from home. As I said, I think our first two cases are probably here in the States. Please meet Jennifer. And she has a 6-year-old son, Hatam, who was abducted. This is 18 months ago, since you've seen your son.
Yes.
So he was 4.5?
At the time, he was 4.5.
And he has been taken to Saudi Arabia. Now, the only thing you can hold on to is an audio tape of his last phone call that he made to his grandparents, the child, at 4.5. Listen to this.
Hello? Hello, can I speak to little Hunter, please? This is Grandpa. Hey? Hello? Who is this? Who's that? Who is that? Is this little Hunter? Yeah. Huh? How are you, baby? This is Pawpaw. This is Pawpaw in Little Rock. You doing all right? Now don't hang up. Here she is. Hi, Hunter. Hunter, I love you, sweetheart, and I miss you. What are you doing? Talk to Grandma. Are you still there? You are? Uh-huh. Well, bless you. Huh? I'm gonna go over there. When you get finished, you want to come over here? Yeah, well, honey, you'll have to get your daddy to talk about that. He's the one that did all this. And see, there's an ocean between us, and we've got no way to come over there. And they wouldn't let us anyway, so your daddy's going to have to bring you back over. I'm flying in my airplane. Yeah, I know. You'd have to fly in an airplane over here. They won't let us come over there. And that's the truth.
I know, Jennifer, how hard it is to hear your son's voice knowing he's that far away. Let me ask you a question. Why would your ex-husband have the child call home?
At first, they were letting me talk to him.
Who's they? Your ex-husband's family?
Their family.
Okay.
But after the day that happened, after that, they never let me talk to him again.
They're afraid the child might say where he is.
They just said that I was upsetting him when I talked to him. I mean,
sure.
Of course he's going to be upset.
Is he from Saudi Arabia?
Yes, he's from Saudi Arabia.
You met him in college, and he was a college student living in the United States? And you were married 3 years. You have the one son. You were divorced in 1993, and the court gave you custody, right?
Yes.
Now, your husband, Saeed, rarely saw the child. Was not interested in the child, so that didn't make you cautious. The day that he was kidnapped, what happened?
Well, he had been telling my family for a while that his family from Saudi Arabia was coming to live and that he wanted to help them get settled in. Usually he would stay with my grandparents when he came to visit because since he was out of town. But he came Friday, and then Saturday at about 11 he called me, and he said he was going to come get Hatem and he would bring him back on Tuesday, and I said that was fine because he always did it. So he came over and told me that he only needed 3 outfits for him because he was going to bring him back on Tuesday. He sat there and waited while I dried his clothes. He sat and waited while I gave him a bath. He sat there and waited while I took a shower. He even, I had short hair at the time, he even trimmed my hair above the ear. I mean, I had no idea whatsoever that he was going to do this.
And it's been 18 months since you've seen your child. Now, what does our government say when a child has been taken to Saudi Arabia?
Well, when I first contacted the State Department, they told me, well, ma'am, you sure have got yourself in a difficult situation, but unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do.
There's nothing we can do because we have all kinds of oil agreements with Saudi Arabia, and we have all kinds of political agreements. So if a woman's child is taken there, there is not much the government can do.
There's nothing they can do.
Have you talked to our ambassador to Saudi Arabia? What
Yes,
do
I
they
have.
say?
Our ambassador that was over there at the time that my son was kidnapped had a meeting with my ex-husband and let him know the severity of what he had done and told him that he would be a criminal for the rest of his life and that he could never travel and go anywhere outside of Saudi Arabia. So he knows what he's gotten himself into, but he says he doesn't care. If he dies in Saudi Arabia, at least he has his son.
Okay. Now, this is the part that is very, very difficult. You have heard of these people that go abroad and snatch children and bring them back? Okay. Why do they snatch children and bring them back? Because legally she has the right to her child. So they help you by going and taking the child and bringing them back. Okay, now, these are commandos. You went to a company like this in March of 1996.
Yes.
You hired a commando to go and get your child. He
Yes,
went
we
to
did.
3 countries. Why did he go to 3 countries? What are the 3 countries? Kuwait, Egypt,
Kuwait, Egypt,
and Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Why did he go to 3 when you knew the child was in Saudi Arabia?
Well, his family lived in Egypt, so I guess
Oh,
he
okay.
visited them.
Now, did this company return your child?
No, they did not.
Were you scammed?
Yes, I was scammed.
Out of how much money?
About $30,000.
So, have you reported these people to the police?
No, I haven't.
Why?
I don't think there's anything that they could do about it. I mean, I think that it's, to hire companies to do things like that, you know, I think it's illegal. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I mean, I know they're out there, but
So, our reason for telling people is?
so people can be aware that when things like this happen, that there are people out there who will try to manipulate you and take advantage of the situation.
Jennifer, why did you come here today? In other words, we're not going to see your child walking the streets of the United States.
No.
Some of the people in our audience may visit Saudi Arabia and see a child like that, but there's very little that can be done. What do you hope for?
I just hope to make people aware of the situation, that it happens every day, and that if people will draw more attention to children being abducted and make it, you know, an issue all over, that maybe the people that are in authority to do something about it will take the initiative to bring some of these children home.
In Saudi Arabia, who do the children belong to?
In Saudi Arabia, who do the children belong to?
Do they belong to the father?
Yes, they do,
By Saudi law?
by Saudi law.
Okay, we'll be right back. Meet Margaret and her new husband, Don, on August the 14th of this year.
Yes.
Margaret came home expecting to see her daughter after the daughter's weekend visitation with her father. Instead, there was a message from her ex-husband on the answering machine. Now we have that audio message. Please listen to this.
Hey Marcus, how you doing? This is Abduction. We are calling from Saudi Arabia, me and Binti, and she said hi. I'll make a deal. If you want to have communication with your daughter and child in the future, you drop all the charges. I don't need no bothering when I come here to stay. And I'll call you sometime in the future. Goodbye.
Okay, now that phone call was the beginning of Margaret and Don's nightmare because their 5-year-old daughter has been kidnapped by her biological father. Margaret hasn't seen her daughter since August the 14th of this year. Let me understand something. He called you, he says, I've snatched your child. She's in Saudi Arabia. And by the way, I thought mostly there were boys that were taken for Saudi Arabia because girls have so little status in many countries, many Arab countries. But he said if you drop charges, he will bring her back to you?
I don't think he intends to bring her back.
He just wants you to drop charges and doesn't have intent to bring her
Yes,
back.
I
further
think so.
communications.
I think he wants to come back to the United States and be free and clear.
And give you back the child or keep the child here?
I'll probably keep her there.
Oh, he
I
will
don't
return and keep
trust
the
him.
child there. But you don't know because he never called you back.
He never called me back.
Okay. Now, why did he take the child?
Well, there were several reasons. First of all, the charges he was talking about, I believe, had to do with child support. He owed $12,000 in back child support, and the child support enforcement people had been after him to pay up, or I guess they told him that he could go to jail, and he was afraid he was going to be picked up. Another reason is that she was not being raised Islamic, and he felt that over there she could be. And that was one of his main gripes.
So he's had the child for a month.
Yeah.
And some. What does the State Department, what do they do? How do you get your child back?
State Department won't get my child back.
Who will get you? What do they say when you ask them?
They can do a welfare and whereabouts check. There's an officer there that's supposed to go and try to contact the family. We did give them some phone numbers we had over there. They are supposed to locate the family, but my ex-husband is not required to go and even talk to the Saudi government or the State Department if he chooses not to.
Do you happen to know, either of the two of you, how many children of mixed parentage American Saudi are in Saudi Arabia now?
About
2,000.
There's 10,000 total worldwide. There's over 2,000 American children.
Who are half Saudi, who are in Saudi Arabia. 2,000?
And there's some who are all American because they have married women that had previous children by American husbands, and they've been taken over there without the father's knowledge.
So somebody knows that 2,000 of our children have been taken to Saudi Arabia, but no one is apparently doing anything about it. Why, Don?
Because their hands are tied. They're afraid to upset the political bankroll of our government and the oil trade that we have. Everything that they have, any operations they have over here is all government owned. If you go to Saudi Arabia, you have to fly at least your last leg by Saudi Airlines. You cannot sue them because they are owned by the government. You have no legal recourse. Every time we contact somebody, they're wanting to know what information we have found out. It's never, we found this out. Here's some information for you.
Okay. So, you have a child in Saudi Arabia, but she's one of 2,000 children in Saudi Arabia. And apparently, there's nothing that can be done.
No.
We'll be right back.
I have recovered 8 children internationally from 8 different countries, and I have a 100% success rate.
Meet Gus Zamora. Gus works for Corporate Training Unlimited. Corporate Training Unlimited. It sounds like you're going to train accountants or office workers. And he has his own company, Zamora and Associates. However, what does this company, Corporate Training Unlimited, CTU, do?
Primarily what I do is I'm an international security consultant. That means that I travel internationally, security matters. Can range anything from training bodyguards to training security staff to doing security surveys of offices, buildings, and residences. I've worked with oil companies in Colombia, Central America, other countries in South America. I branched off 3 years ago, started my own company called Zamora and Associates, and I specialize in recovering children in non-custodial abductions.
Okay. You have what kind of a success rate?
At this point, I have recovered 8 children internationally from 8 different countries, and I have a 100% success rate.
Now, when you say 100% success rate, what does recovering a child in a non-custodial situation involve?
Primarily, it involves tracking the child and the movement of the parent, the kidnapper, going to the geographical location, the country, going into that location, doing an analysis and a survey of the geographical area, and formulating a plan to conduct a surveillance. At that point, we want to verify that the child is actually there and the person we're looking at is the child. I do that with video, photography, night vision equipment, usually whatever it takes. Once I've got everything laid on and I know where I'm going to go, what we're going to do, how we're going to recover the child, I bring one of the parents in because they have to physically be there to take charge of that child.
Now, what do we do about our guest who gave $35,000 to a company like yours?
Well, first of all, it's not a company like mine.
Okay.
I have a small office in my home. My overhead is very minimal. Any money I receive is extra money. My wife is a professional. She has her own income. I've worked with the company that this lady was unfortunately associated with. They hired me to go on a job. The job was very easy. Everything was ready. And at the end, they asked the client for more money and botched the whole job. So I was aware of this company, and we spoke in the back room, and when she mentioned the company to me, I just felt very sorry for her.
Now, you've gotten children back from Central and South America, Nicaragua, Mexico. I guess it can be done anywhere in the world.
Yes.
It can take from 1 week, the quickest time you've ever taken, to about a year. Now, you have said the cost of a snatchback ranges from $20,000 to $70,000.
Yes.
Which is tremendous. Why do you do this?
Well, first of all, let me say that I don't make a very good living at it.
I know you don't, and I know that it goes to all the
most of the money goes for the logistics.
The logistics, but why do you do it?
Well, I have 3 children of my own. And initially, I started doing the executive protection training thing. I got involved in a hostage negotiation in Bogota, Colombia. There was a gentleman that was kidnapped. We went and met his wife. She cried to us and begged us to help her retrieve her husband. I ended up getting involved. I personally paid $250,000 in American cash to the ELN, which is a guerrilla organization in Medellin, Colombia. And 2 weeks later, they released the gentleman. And it was at that point that I realized that it was a good thing to do. And I started hearing about child cases and about missing children, and
so
I thought,
got involved.
What's easier?
What can be done about the 2,000 children in Saudi Arabia?
Unfortunately, very little. I have done a job in Saudi Arabia, and I was able to get one individual out of Saudi Arabia. However, it was an adult.
That leaves 1,000. Oh, it leaves 2,000 still. We'll be right back.
When she first came home, she did not know me on any conscious level. At some level, she thought I was her kidnapper.
We want you to meet Georgia Hilgeman. She is the executive director for, there is an organization called the Vanished Children's Alliance. It's a nonprofit organization and deals with children both here and abroad. In 1976, she had a 13-month-old daughter that was abducted by her ex-husband, who was from Mexico, and her child was away from her for 4.5 years. till she found and got her child back. She paid $21,000 to the Mexican government to get her child back. So yes, these governments can be paid off. Her daughter is now 22 years old. What has this done? What are the remnants of this in her personality, having been taken from you for 4.5 years?
Well, I think she, like a lot of other children that were victims of parental abduction, most suffered some form of post-traumatic stress disorder. For when she first came home, she did not know me on any conscious level. At some level, she thought I was her kidnapper. She's brought into a new environment, trying to identify who are really her parents, trying to speak a new language, adjusting to a new culture.
It leaves its mark.
It leaves its mark. It has long-term ramifications for
Is
for
there
her and others.
anything our parents can do to find their children on stage here?
Well, I think that they are doing a number of things.
There's nothing else that you would suggest, especially for our Saudi, the parents whose child are in Saudi Arabia?
My experience has shown that the most effective way to get children out of Saudi Arabia is to lure the parent out of Saudi Arabia.
Okay, good news. If a parent fears that their child is in danger, what do you tell the child?
If you try to educate the child how to make a long-distance call, how to make a scene at the airports, who to identify as safe adults, so they can get out of those situations.
Will a restraining order prohibiting the removal of your child from the area help? If somebody's
Restraining
really
orders are about as good as the paper that they're written on.
Okay.
If somebody has that intent, they will do it no matter what.
Every child in the United States should know how to make a collect call, even if they aren't in danger of being kidnapped, right?
Make a collect call and call 911 and identify their safe adults.
And if you are worried about a kidnapping, tell every single person, every teacher, every friend, everyone, so that they look out.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Your
We'll be
adults.
right back.
Soon after this show was taped, all of Dawn's hard work and her poster campaign paid off. She was reunited with her daughter Anjanette just in time for them to be together for the holidays.
Gus is fascinating to talk to, and Georgia does very, very good work, and we hope that those of you who see those numbers will use them. Gus says, to his knowledge, no one's ever gotten a child out of Saudi Arabia. Women have no legal rights.
Exactly.
So the men have the legal rights. If you would like to talk about this or you need any information, please call Georgia's organization and call them, or you can join me on my website. I'm there most of the time. We'd like to see you next time.